Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty joins us. He is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, welcome. You know, the mullahs, they must be sitting back in Tehran, watching all this. They've spent a lifetime chanting and plotting death to Israel and wiping what they call the Zionist state off the map. How can we prevent Iran, is that possible, from getting involved as it threatens to do?
Eric, it's absolutely possible. We just have to make our deeds follow our words. You've now seen aircraft carrier strike groups move into the region. I think that's a good first step. It took the White House 48 hours, but Joe Biden finally came out and acknowledged Israel's right to defend itself. But what we need to do is go back to what has worked. I can tell you what hasn't worked, and that's the appeasement policies of the Obama administration in the first instance. When they developed the JCPOA, we saw the violence coming out of Gaza in 2014 and 2015. When President Trump came in and tore up the Iran deal, when he imposed maximum pressure, what we saw was a completely different story. During that time, I served as the U.S. ambassador to Japan. My job was to get the Japanese to stop buying Iranian crude. We did that. We cut fund flow to Iran down to a trickle. Hamas and Hezbollah were going broke. That was widely reported. When Joe Biden comes back into office, what does he do? Right back to appeasement, enriching Iran, looking the other way. Tens of billions of dollars have flown to Iran. Now they have the funds to do this, to support this, and this is exactly what we get when we don't impose maximum pressure. We need to go back to what works. We need to put maximum pressure in place right now. That's what the Biden administration needs to do. Snap back every sanction under the JCPOA, every sanction under the United Nations Security Council, and exert maximum diplomatic pressure right now to match the military presence that we're putting in place.
Why do you think there has been, especially in the Democratic circles, this outreach? One would say, well, you need to talk to them. We need to outreach to them. We need to deal with them because they could potentially have a nuclear bomb and develop that. And they go down that path as opposed to what you just described. Why the difference?
It's impossible for me to understand or explain, but I'll say this. Under the Obama administration, they put Iran on the path to get a nuclear weapon. They misrepresented it to the people of the United States. They said that what they were doing was going to have, immediate and intrusive ability to have inspections. That was untrue. Interestingly, at the point of the spear of these miscommunications was Jack Lew, who is now going to be put in front of the Senate next week to become our ambassador to Israel. That's an insult beyond insults. It's amazing that the left sees things this way. The appeasement process does not work, and we're right back to where we were with Obama, and even worse, with the worst slaughter of Jews that we've seen since the Holocaust.
And let me finally bring up an issue that rankles a lot of people, Qatar. Qatar is a non-NATO ally of ours. We have a huge base in Qatar. And take a look at what we saw yesterday. The Hamas leadership, they're running around, they're free. Ismail Haniyeh, he's the head of Hamas. These Hamas leaders live, we're told, in these luxury hotels. And he's sitting there in Qatar yesterday meeting with the Iranian foreign minister. We have a base. Can we go and arrest the Hamas leadership? Can Qatar arrest them? They're not closing the office. They're not doing anything about this terror group operating freely on Qatar's land and in those luxurious hotels. Yeah. What can the administration or we do about the terrorist group operating headquartered out of Qatar?
Well, there's several things we can do. First, we need to cut off funds flow into Gaza. I put forward legislation, I'm going to bring it back, to take the funds that we send to Gaza, which Hamas takes these funds. The funds are fungible, and they use this to attack Israel. Instead, we're going to use those funds to replenish Iron Dome. With respect to the people sitting in Hamas right now, as the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, is calling for Palestinian civilians to leave, to evacuate, these people are sitting in hotels in Qatar calling for them to stay. What cowardice. We need to get our allies, to the extent they are in Qatar, to step up and help us stop this, to jail them, to extradite them, to do whatever we need to do. I'd love to see that happen.
Senator Bill Hagerty, we'll see if this continues and if they eventually end up in the dock of the International Criminal Court. Qatar needs to cooperate. They are not yet. Thank you for joining us. We will stay on this story.